Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update.
Money FM 89.3, I'm Lynn Lee. Now, when we talk about immersive technologies, we think about virtual reality, gaming, engagement, a similar experience perceived as real. And with the metaverse market projected to reach up to $400 billion, many financial institutions are expected to explore blockchain, tokenization, and metaverse-related initiatives. As we speak, there are already financial institutions leading the way, showing us what the future could look like with immersive customer engagement and blockchain-backed financial services. And as the financial sector transforms by this brave new digital world, banks are looking into offering immersive simulations and interactive experiences to help customers navigate complex financial concepts in a fun and engaging manner. And today I'm very excited to have an industry veteran on the show. He is Alex Manson, CEO of SC Ventures. He's spent over 30 years shaping the future of banking. Welcome, Alex. Great to have you on Money FM 89.3.
Alan, thank you for having me.
Alex, you're the CEO of SC Ventures, which I gather you set up in 2018. And SC Ventures is Standard Chartered's innovation, fintech investment and ventures arm. So in the past 30 years, in terms of technology, what are your thoughts? How have we evolved?
We have evolved all the time in technology, right? So banks are great users of technology. Technology, data specifically, is an integral part of banking and financial services. So this is not new. I think what's happened in the last few years is an acceleration of that evolution. These things don't go linear. These things go accelerating. We've had AI for a long, long time, but we have now such availability of data and the power of computing that, all that combined means that we can do a lot more with AI, generally speaking, data science than we could before. The same applies to cloud computing because, blockchain came in as an alternative ledger. And so all these are foundational technologies that are enabling things that couldn't be doable, wouldn't be thinkable only a few years ago. And that acceleration, I think, is really remarkable in our industry right now.
And talking about acceleration, Standard Chartered has recently partnered with Kia AI to launch Akashaverse, which is a groundbreaking platform that leverages all these technologies, AI, VR, and AR. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, of course. So we're building Akashaverse. So SC Venture is a venture building platform. Predominantly, we've built some 30 companies and more in the pipeline, and some of them are scaling and some of them are still in stealth. But, we have built a number of ventures with the objective to use technology and build alternatives to banking, alternative business models. So we serve clients really the way they want to be served. So Akashaverse is one of these. And what we plan on doing in partnership with our partners, Kia AI, what we plan on doing there is essentially build a virtual world where we'll start with religious tourism, so virtual pilgrimages in India, but also over time, virtual stores, reinventing a commercial experience, all in an immersive environment, using AI, using the tools we have at our disposal today to completely reinvent the experience of customers and integrate financial services also as part of that experience, as opposed to have them on the side. So, and this is why it's so relevant for financial institutions to explore that space, because over time, clients, don't want to go to a bank separately and live their lives. It's completely separate matters. They want to live their lives and have financial services integrated in the way they live their lives. And if our conviction is that we'll all be going sort of on and offline seamlessly, but also virtually, and we'll be switching from virtual environment to an online to a physical environment, all the time, then we have to build the muscles and the capabilities to integrate financial services in that context. And that's essentially what we're doing with the Akashaverse. Very excited about this.
Yeah, it seems really transformative. But give us an example of how a client would be using Akashaverse.
Well, think of a pilgrimage, for example. A number of people in India would love to make a trip, but can't. Can't for logistical reasons, sometimes for financial reasons, sometimes for safety reasons. There's a variety of reasons. People wanting to get on a trip cannot make that trip, even if that trip is faith-driven in a religious pilgrimage, for example. We can enable that trip in a virtual environment. It is a lot easier. It is safe. It is cheaper than the real thing, but it's also the real thing because we replicate this in a commercial environment. And so we have created essentially the ability to do this in India at the moment. And then on the back of this, we can create a number of commercial experiences as well, which people want to have. Over time, we'll be creating virtual stores, for example, in partnership with other commercial partners. And that is a whole series of activity which people would love to undertake, but may not have the ability to undertake. And so it's really about making things accessible that wouldn't be otherwise accessible to a lot of people at scale.
You were talking about religious tourism as one of the examples earlier. How do you intend to make this more mainstream?
This is very mainstream already. The reality is the barrier to entry is minimal. The demand for virtual experiences started really during the pandemic, where people were locked and stuck at home, and it's gone increasing ever since. The point is, talking about religious tourism here, and we haven't started talking about gaming, but there are huge audiences, huge communities of people, users. I would say this is not a niche thing. This is actually a mainstream experience. So far, financial institutions have not participated in it, and some of us don't really know about it. But trust me, it exists. And here, what we need to do as financial industry is make sure that we don't neglect what people want to do and the way customers want to be served, and really integrate our offerings with the way they lead their lives, which is at times online, at times in a virtual environment.
You're clearly a visionary in this space. And at SC Ventures, I am aware that you guys work with a range of startups and emerging technologies. So what qualities do you look for when identifying promising ventures to invest in?
When we build ventures, it's really about solving a problem worth solving. It's about serving clients the way they need to be served. And, what we'll typically do in building a venture is test it first. Do we have something that we think makes sense? Do we think, so we'll do a minimum viable product, as people call it in the jargon. And once we have enough feedback on whether we're onto something, we'll scale it, but not before. So what we look for is really customer feedback, and from that dialogue with customers, drive all the iterations that it takes essentially to make a successful venture. When we work with partners, which is someone else's venture and is a little different, we'll look for the technology that enables it. We don't think of ourselves as builders of technology. We think that if it already exists, we will not reinvent the wheel, we will not replicate it, we will just incorporate it. And that's a way to go a lot faster to essentially do what we set out to do, which is create businesses that reinvent the way we think of banking and financial services. So in both cases, there's a common thread, which is the venture solving a problem worth solving. Is it doing it well? Well, I mean, much better than what's already available. And can we scale it?
And speaking of innovation, I understand that you've got a book coming up. It's called Nothing Ventured, Nothing Gained, which offers a behind-the-scenes look at fostering innovation in banking. Tell us some key takeaways you hope readers will gain from.
So it's our story, right? It's our story, the early years of SC Ventures, why we did what we did, how we went about it, why we went about it the way we did, etc. And so it's a team book, meaning I took some notes, and they're in the books, the genesis of SC Ventures, and also other team members were focusing on the area of expertise and reflecting. And we also have some of the first ventures, the 0 to 1 ventures, telling the tale of this 0 to 1 days and how that was, what the experience was. I think the main takeaway is what we think works, what we think doesn't work, how much we had to unlearn and relearn, how much we learned. And so many of these lessons are implicitly in the pages. And I hope the stories resonate with lots of people wanting to transform a business and get on with the world the way it is today, as opposed, and will be tomorrow, as opposed to the way it was yesterday. So rewiring the DNA in banking was the motto, and how we went about it is what the book is about.
Wow, very interesting. And when can we expect it to be on sale?
Please visit our website, which is scventures.io. There's a link to pre-order the book on our website, and it will be available on Amazon from March 18, actually.
Wow. Okay. And before we let you go, Alex,
and feedback welcome. As you engage, I'd love to hear what people think about it. So
of course,
so we can act on it and reflect. Thank you,
Alex. Before we let you go, what do you see in the future of banking in terms of innovation? What do you see in your crystal ball?
I think we're just at the beginning of some of the things we've just alluded to, right? So people going offline, online, virtual environment, leading their lives and not wanting to go visit a branch, which is about as exciting as, seeing a dentist. Also, although it's a very nice dentist, but people don't want to see a branch. So when we build digital banks, it's about that in the first place. When we build banking as a service, it's about that too. But this is going to continue to evolve as we integrate financial services with people's lifestyles. And that, I think, is a huge trend, which we definitely see unfolding, and we're just at the beginning of it. Now, in order to do this, it takes a completely different infrastructure. And we've touched quickly on blockchain and coins and digital assets, perhaps, and new rails. All these are foundational technologies. We're not going to want to think about them any more than we think about what happens when we hit send to send an email or WhatsApp message. But they're here, and they're powerfully intertwined. And that is, here what we're describing is the building blocks of the financial rails of tomorrow, of the financial infrastructure of tomorrow. And I have no doubt that in not so long, we will be running financial services in completely different rails and a completely different infrastructure versus what we're using today, which kind of works, but is also expensive and clunky at times. And so that evolution of infrastructure, which is underpinning all we're doing in digital assets and, that asset class, which is here to stay, is a really important trend. And it's obviously correlated to the previous one.
And very quickly, Alex, what do you think will be the biggest obstacles in the future of banking innovation?
Obstacles? That's a really great question. Your imagination? What? People hide behind obstacles, be it, the regulators haven't given me a framework. Well, regulators are willing to learn and open-minded, and actually over time they will write the frameworks. Or my legacy technology. Well, legacy technology you can build on the side, or you can digitize your own organization. Or mindsets, inertia. Maybe the biggest obstacle is people's mindsets and getting over this, which is kind of the same as saying your own imagination. So you need to unlearn some of the reflexes which you've acquired in industry, for example, and relearn in the context of creating and innovating and giving people ultimately what they want and deserve. And that mindset is a little bit different, and perhaps the main obstacle is us humans. And when we learn to change, we change things, and great things can happen on the back of it.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. I guess the future of banking is full of exciting possibilities, but will require careful consideration of risks and challenges as well. Thank you very much, Alex. Alex Manson, CEO of SC Ventures. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lynn.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.